Just want to make sure we're live on YouTube. Not yet.
It said, "Yep,
There we are.
we're up."
Well, here we are. Chapter 44 of the DC Alliance podcast. No, I'm not Greg. I'm Travis. Greg is off for the next couple weeks, so I'll have a couple guest hosts. And with me this week is Clay from Ranger Alliance podcast. Clay, how you doing this evening?
I am doing great. I made sure to represent some DC today.
Yeah, well, what a combo! What a combo! Yeah, my favorite combo. I just won't think about them in Crisis. That's all. If I don't think about that, it's still a favorite combo. Yeah, I'm still a little bitter about that. People, I never will not stop being bitter about that. I may have a rant at the end about something to do with DC CW as well. Clay, thank you for joining me. Thanks for stepping up there. Couldn't be more happy to have you. We got a lot of news and a trailer to talk about today. But before all that jazz, I'm going to get the network plugs right out of the way, right out of the gate. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance with 9 podcasts, 7 days a week. On Mondays is World's Finest True Believers. On Tuesdays is this show, DC Alliance. On Wednesdays is Marvel Alliance with Chris Balga and now Brent from Fans Without Borders and Marvel Squadcast. So welcome to the network, Brent. On Thursdays is a trio of shows. They rotate. It's Ranger Alliance, hosted by Clay and rotating guest host. Slice of Film, hosted by Katie and guest. And Star Wars Alliance, hosted by Nathan and Katie. Star Wars Alliance also goes live on YouTube. I think they record Sunday mornings most of the time. Marvel Alliance goes live on YouTube on Tuesday nights, and this show goes live on YouTube on Monday nights on the Geekverse YouTube channel. On Fridays is Superhero Discussions with myself and Greg. And Saturdays and Sundays is Weird Science Comics DC and Marvel Roundup with Jim. So those are the shows. We also have a Patreon, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. $1 tier is basically donations. You like what we're doing, and you're giving whatever you can. And $5 tier is where you get your goodies, you get your ad-free episodes, you get your early access episodes, and you get your Patreon exclusive. Myself and Clay have been doing The Last Ronin. We've already done 2 parts. We can't wait to get back. Whenever the book is there, it will be up shortly after that, because we're both on the reading it immediately mode of that.
Yeah, and we, the comic book crew, as we've dubbed ourselves, we did some DC Future State, as well as we are planning on doing the next Marvel event, which I can't remember the exact name of it. Chris is probably yelling at me right now, but but the premise is basically what would the world be like without the Avengers? So that'll be an interesting comic event over there, and I think I am planning on reviewing Radiant Black second issue soon. Radiant Black is a comic book that is written by Kyle Higgins, who did the Power Ranger comics. And he basically said that his road from Heroes Reborn, thanks, Tony, his road to get to Radiant Black was through Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So a lot of the same kind of tropes are in there in Radiant Black. So it's a pretty cool series for sure.
I'm probably going to have to check that out. Also, myself and Chris were discussing a little earlier, maybe doing a Godzilla versus Kong review for patrons as well.
Oh, that would be pretty cool.
I'm going to try and get out to theaters. As I was telling Clay before we went live, I think there's only one active case here right now. They're ramping up vaccines. My girlfriend has an appointment for Thursday, actually, but she's in the healthcare industry. So and me, as just a regular jerk, will probably be the last of the people to get it in the 30-year-old range. Just middle of the pack, no health contact like that. So, but that's not going to stop me when we have cases and the limited capacity in theaters here. Really, I got to say, it puts you at ease a little bit, but like I was telling people before, my Wonder Woman 84 experience, there was a guy up in the top left corner coughing, and no matter what, now that's what I'm going to think about until I get that vaccine, is maybe that person has COVID.
Yes, and also, just to put it out there, because my co-host for Batman News Weekly reminded me as well, and not really reminded, but as well as like just letting everybody know the vaccine is another deterrent. So if you do go out to theaters, still wear a mask.
Yes, it's not uncomfortable. I went. Like I said before, I went to watch Wonder Woman. None of my liberties were taken away. I didn't feel like I was controlled by anybody. I just kept my mask on. I tipped it up to have a drink, and that's better. I didn't eat any popcorn, which was the sad thing of my experience. Some other people like had the mask off fully eaten, which was the rules, so I can't fault them. But that's something that I'm still not comfortable with. I think that will come with time. I think that's all going to come with time, and I can't imagine being in like a big populated city where it's still going to take a little while. So but like you said, once you get vaccinated, those things will be the past, and I can't wait to see that movie. I'm really excited about that, even though it won't come on Crave. They're not getting it like the Zack Snyder Justice League thing.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
I think we get it in 2 days, Wednesday.
Yeah, same day release.
Yeah.
I'll try to get out there on Thursday, probably a Thursday afternoon showing. Usually there's not many numbers for that. But we're not going to talk about Godzilla versus Kong here at DC Alliance as much as we love that. Clay, let's get into the actual gist of what we're going to talk about.
Well, this isn't the biggest news. I think the biggest news is, you didn't even put it on the show notes. The biggest news.
The Suicide Squad trailer?
No, the biggest news was the announcement yesterday from The Rock himself.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest news.
That's a whole separate podcast. I wasn't even allowed. That got hammered down to me that it was. I got to make a whole other podcast just about The Rock setting another date for a movie that's another 2 years away. No, 1 year away. That I'm going to have to believe is going to exactly hold the date with all the consistency that DC has had over the years. I honestly, Clay, before we get into news, I was so disappointed by that because I thought it was a suit reveal.
I think majority of Twitter was either having really high hopes for a Henry Cavill announcement in Black Adam, or it was going to be a suit reveal. Our high hopes were through the roof, and all it was, hey, the movie's coming out this time. And it would have been really cool, but like they were like, oh my gosh, The Rock took over all of Times Square. This is during COVID. There's not a whole lot of people out in Times Square right now. So doesn't really do anything for you. It looks cool, but it didn't really do anything.
It did absolutely nothing for me. I honestly thought that whoever did that marketing plan did the same marketing plan for Titans when they're like, we got a big reveal.
That's what I said.
And then there's a picture.
And here's a picture.
you tease a 10-second teaser video, make me think I'm going to get a full 20 or 30-second trailer about the character. Man. And this is the same thing here. I honestly thought we were just going to get an Instagram of The Rock walking out in the Black Adam costume and just drinking his tequila. Even that would have been fine for me. I just wanted to see the costume because I don't need any CGI touch-ups with The Rock in a superhero costume because I mean, just look at him. He's definitely exploding out of it. You probably need to take away muscles when you're doing
I am very curious because apparently he's already worn it. Apparently he's already tested it and everything. I'm really curious when we will get that. I asked the question in our chat recently if we will get a fandom this year, and there hasn't really been any news or any indication that there will be.
Yeah, but they didn't put the other fandom out that many months before. They didn't put the news that many months before they had it, right? It was maybe 3, I want to say.
That's true. And it was at the tail end of August and into this the second weekend was in September or whatever. You're right. So maybe we'll get something in the summer. When Comic-Con was supposed to be, maybe we'll get the news then. So. This is
I if they don't do another fandom, although we already know that some of the decisions are maddening anyway, that seems to be they set a new trend there with that because I think that was the best one of all the ones.
And I think now with the success of the first fandom, you now have time to plan since then. So they have a production that they can actually be putting out, which I hope they do.
Yeah, you can wait for a perfect time where you have the most of your content there that you can tease, rather than just a couple pieces. Which it probably is right now. You may as well wait until after the Flash is filming and all that stuff gets going, because that's a big sell. So, yeah, But yeah, the Black Adam news was a horrible disappointment. We're going to get into some real cast news, which is also a disappointment for me. But uh, Henry Allen has changed in the Flash movie. It's going to be Ron Livingston now. Now, while I still enjoy him as an actor, I thought the limited 2 scenes we got of Henry Allen in Zack Snyder's Justice League, I thought was fantastic, and I wish that he was still going to play the character. What do you think about all this, Clay?
I was really disappointed by this. I think it was Brent that had suggested on both fans and even in our chat that they should have just waited until pickups. Pickups is something that is very what's the word I'm looking for? Common for most films. They film what they need to for the majority of the film, and then their pickups is like, hey, let's do this and here and do whatever. And they could have really waited for the oh my gosh, the prior actor. What's his name? Crap. Shoot. I literally had it on the tip of my tongue and I lost it. Holy crap! What is his name? Holy crap! It like completely. Holy. See, Travis is gonna. Snell is probably yelling.
I just.
I could just look it up, but then I would just look like an idiot here on my first time guest. Well, I mean, third time guest starring on DC Alliance. I'm not even going to attempt. But I think they should have just waited for pickups to keep him, because his performance in Zack Snyder's Justice League was, I felt, genuine. He nailed the role. Yeah, I know, Nathan. I know. I'm sorry. But he nailed the role in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I felt the performance was very, very convincing as far as being genuine for Ezra Miller. And I think was there a photo going around on Twitter with him younger, and he looked like almost very similar to Ezra?
I'm not sure. I didn't. I hadn't seen that picture. The correct answer we were looking for was Billy Crudup.
See, I knew it was Billy something, and I didn't want to sound like an idiot, so I was like, God dang it. So yeah, Billy's performance was awesome. And I don't know if there we go. Thank you, Snell. But I don't know if he had really. I remember there being something on Twitter with I don't know if he had said it personally or if it was an agent or something, but there was news that maybe he wouldn't have shown up again. And I remember, the Flash isn't really, or he left the project. That's what it was. He left the project in the midst of like all the directors leaving and everything else, them switching. The Flash was a mess before they got Muschietti. So I can see why he probably was like, oh, this thing's never going to happen. I need to go find some, work to do. But Ron Livingston, the only thing I remember him from is what you put on the show notes. That's literally the only thing I think of, which is Office Space. I don't think of anything else he has been, because I don't think I've seen anything else he's been in.
Same. If I have, I don't remember it. That's the same here. And
I am looking at his IMDb, and nothing sounds familiar whatsoever.
And to your point about the pickups too that Brent was talking about, Randall Park and Aquaman, that was how they got him in, because his schedule didn't line up, and it's like additional photography is another term they just use for that, as they put it in there because we'll get those additional shots. And Grace Randolph, the great scooper, I'll never forget, reported that he was being written into the show because the studio was interfering and all this stuff. And James Wan actually replied, like, no, this is called additional photography, and our schedules didn't line up, and this was the only way I could get him in the movie. So this also feels like a way for them to distance themselves from Zack Snyder's Justice League just a little bit more, if I'm being honest with you, Clay.
Yeah,
because you can. It depends, but he's in jail, so like how many scenes is he really going to have in reality, and how many is he going to have where he's like he doesn't, as Zack Snyder showed us with some of his reshoots during COVID or additional photography. Sorry, you don't need to have the people in the same area to do it. So
yeah, and maybe there will be some flashback scenes that we could possibly see, maybe of the whole incident that we assume is the same as the Flash origin, but who knows? I think the assumption is because of this recast, there won't be a whole lot of him in the movie.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I just suck because, like I said, he did a great job in just those limited scenes that we got him in. And if this movie came out any earlier, he definitely would be in it. It's just been so many different changes and delays.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, we got some other news. These castings I have no idea about. Never heard of these people before in my life. So there's 2 other people joining the Flash. We don't have the roles yet. I'm going to just say Monica Jackson from Dury Girls, and YouTuber, although me and Clay found it is actually a Vine guy, Rudy Mansuo, have been cast in the Flash as well. I don't know anything about these people, Clay. I don't know if you have heard anything about them.
So Monica Jackson that's what I'm going to call her. Because her first name, I don't want to even attempt it.
That's why I said S. Going with the S.
I've never heard of Dairy Girls before, but as I was telling you before we started going this podcast, Rudy Mancuso was a old Vine celebrity. Vine was super popular back in the day before it got shut down, and he was one that was always viral. He made some really good skits. He's really funny. So to see him actually get a role here, this is not the first YouTuber to become DC star. There's actually, I believe, the guy who was playing the Javelin in the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad, he was an old YouTuber as well. So seeing there being another YouTube actor here, I think it really plays well in the concept of DC using who was it? Sandberg. Sandberg, he got his start in YouTube with filmmaking. So I think these kind of directors and producers and things like that, they know, like, hey, there's some actual talent out here in places that people don't normally look for big budget movies like this. So, and like I said, Rudy is really funny. I think they would want to go a little bit more lighthearted with this. I'm really interested to see what kind of roles these two have. Will they be the best friends? Is this the equivalent to oh my gosh, I haven't watched The Flash in 3 years.
How lucky are you?
Oh, I say 3 years, 2.5, or yeah, I would say 2.5. Is this Vibe and Killer Frost? I mean, it would be a large stretch to try to connect, a parallel Earth to that would be the
That's
CW.
not a bad idea, though. They're taking some of that stuff from the Flash, like, and what's successful. Although I, on the other hand, would just like to point out, like, the Flash figured out and ran back in time without having to have 17 people on his team telling him what to do for like minutes on end. It's good, but eventually you hope there's a natural progression where all these characters can go off on their own, still come together at times when needed, but like every episode over and over again is a little bit. But you do raise it perfect. I never even thought about that, Clay. That could very well be. We could have younger versions of the Flash and Iris or anything, but I think that this could be a case where we do have these characters. They could build out this, and with the multiverse being here, he could go to another Earth, and they could have powers, like you said. They could be Killer Frost. They could be.
And everybody is assuming that we will see the crisis scene, but from Urza's point of view. I think that will be something that they still do.
Oh, it would make sense, and
Yeah.
that's something I'm cool with. Like, I know Ann Starnoff said you wanted to make. I don't want everything to connect. Like, I don't need every TV show to connect to every movie. Like, I don't like. I kind of like the multiverse concept where you can bring them all together to connect them, but don't behold all them to decisions made in a movie like 7 years ago, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just nice to see the casting news. This is going to actually start soon. So I'm pretty sure both Ezra and Kiersey Clemens are there now, ready to go, because Kiersey's shared some things on Instagram.
Man, we might actually get set photos, and then we officially can say it is coming. So
Yeah,
that'll be fun to look at. But the next piece of news I was not expecting
no,
at all.
no.
I would have expected somebody a little bit younger for this casting, to go along with the whole idea of, a young JSA. And if that gives you any hints, we're going to be talking about the new casting for Black Adam. Dr. Fate is going to be played by Pierce Brosnan from Mrs. Doubtfire.
the rated R cut.
No, but James Bond himself. Holy cow. I love this casting. As I said, I was expecting somebody younger, but to have the suave that Pierce Brosnan does, and to be Dr. Fate, I think is going to be really, really cool.
I'm blown away by this, Clay. I was not expecting this. Came out of left field. A lot of news this week. A lot of news and trailers and all that. Almost like you're trying to
hide or push some other distract.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
But mission accomplished here for me, because I'm Alien. I'll say this now. I'm a student of the Bond game. I've watched every James Bond movie. I grew up. I watched Roger Moore at 8 and 9 years old at my uncle's cabin. Like, my uncle
Pierce Brosnan was my Bond. That's
Goldeneye
how I got
was my movie. It was the jam. The game was the jam. I loved it. So this is cool. And I agree. Thinking about it, you would think that. But the best thing about Dr. Fate is all and any of his stunts, we don't have to have Pierce Brosnan for any of that, because full on mask over top. Like, there's no facial features of him at all. So that is a very positive thing about that.
Yes. But as far as like how much we will get of Pierce Brosnan, you have to remember, holy crap, I am forgetting everybody's name tonight. The Mandalorian. Holy cow. I am horrible tonight. I've had a lot of stuff happen today.
Vaccine, y'all, makes you forget.
I know. My microchip came with Wi-Fi. No. But the oh my gosh, who is? I'm looking this up literally.
The Mandalorian. Who?
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure that out.
The character? Do you know the character?
No, I'm looking for the actor.
Yeah, I may know if you say the character.
Pedro Pascal. Yes.
Okay.
Pedro Pascal. He was actually in the armor several times. Now, of course, there was a body double for stunts and everything else, but he's come out and said, like, hey, I was, filming majority of the time. Same could be for Pierce, not saying that he will, but it would be nice to know if he didn't just like cop out and be like, I'll only be there if they need me outside the helmet.
I think it depends on what you're going to have him do. Like, if you're going to have him be like full power Dr. Fate, like, I don't think you should have him in. It's no different than like Ben Affleck. Like, Richard Strone has done majority of like, and I'm all for that because there's going to be a lot of wire work with Dr. Fate. He's going to be flying around like using his powers like magic, and you don't really need, like, no different than like Rocket or Groot. Like, you don't really need like Pierce Brosnan there for the actual like physicality of it. I do agree it would be cool, but I don't know. He got close to 70. He got to be at least 60, Pierce Brosnan. So like if you're gonna have him for a while, who knows though, right? Because Dr. Fate's helmet has been worn by many a person, so like
Yes.
he could be the one that goes. He's it doesn't even born in 53. He was so he's
getting up there.
He's almost 70. Close.
Yes.
A couple years away from 70. So yeah, I don't see I could see him like his version being like a one-off thing or like we don't see him too many times. That's right. See him making the ultimate sacrifice in the end of this movie for sure.
Oh, I hope not. Gosh. I mean, I would assume because this movie is set in the past, I would assume we're making that assumption that this will probably be a one-time thing for majority of the actors here, except for of course The Rock and the actor who is playing
Hawkman, because
Hawkman.
I don't think. Yeah, I was going to say I don't think this is going to be one off for him. Dude looks absolutely
now.
jacked.
He has been working out like holy crap. But I almost feel like he could almost be played like the Doctor in Doctor Who, just because he has different lives to live. But I would also like a little bit of a spin on it. Recently, Robert Venditti wrote a series of Hawkman where he was like he was a Kryptonian in one life. He was a human in one life. He was an Egyptian. Like, to play different parts of this universe, I think that would be really cool. So that way he could really use like different ranges of his acting. But also, if say, hey, I can't do this one, somebody else could play him, and it would completely make sense for the continuity.
Oh yeah, and that could be the way I go. Ultimately, though, I'd like to see him have more of a like run on his own. Like I'd like to see him in this present time.
Yeah,
especially if he's a Thanagarian, like you could have him for a while. And like Chris said, I've been waiting for Dr. Fate for so long for DCU, and he was actually done good, like costume wise, comparative to a lot of the other ones in Smallville. I don't know if you've seen.
Oh yeah,
Smallville.
no, I've seen the JSA episode of Smallville several times.
Yeah,
his suit was amazing. I'm sure we will see him again in Stargirl, and gosh, trying to think, we haven't had any reference to him in Arrowverse, have we?
No, we have not. Which is a strange thing. Which why didn't you? So maybe he was one of the names in the bag when they were pulling out for what they were going to make Oliver after he died, like Spectre and.
Ooh, that would have been awesome if he was Dr. Fate. Holy crap!
Here all night, folks. Here all night. Yeah, but that's Pierce Brosnan, James Bond, going to be in that, and I think he'll be do a fantastic job. This is a great get for The Rock. This is shaping up to be quite a movie. And the final piece of casting news, what I didn't expect: Helen Mirren has been cast as the villain Hespera in Shazam: Fury and the Fear of the Gods. Now, I hope you know do you know anything about this villain? Because I don't know anything about it, and
I was reading the notes earlier today, right before I was getting my shot, and the whole plan was to look up some books that I could read to learn about this character, because I am not familiar with this character at all. So I do apologize to all the listeners, but I'm excited about this casting for sure. Helen is a phenomenal actress. Phenomenal. I think one of my favorite roles for her, even though she wasn't like super crazy in that role, was Red with Bruce Willis and Morgan
Freeman.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about this. I'm excited to see the kind of relationship she will have with Zachary Levi on set. Because I believe Helen has background in Broadway, and Zach is a huge Broadway person. So I think they will have a big mutual respect for each other. I think the on-set relationship will be fun to look at. And I really hope this comes out. It says as the villain. There's no details on main villain, or if there will be more than one. So, just a
Okay, I
little.
got some information for you, not a lot. Uh, Apparently, Hespera is the ill-intended daughter of Atlas.
Okay.
That's essentially all they have here.
Well,
Uh,
Atlas is, of course, one of the gods that Shazam takes power from. So, maybe there is some connection there. Oh,
it's nice to see
there we
DC
go.
lean into the God side of things.
Yeah.
Clay, I love that about the Zack Snyder Justice League, the old Age of Heroes story. The gods, same thing. I want Shazam to lean heavy into that, and I also want Black Adam to reference it as well. I want to see a little bit of that in Black Adam. But Helen Mirren, very interesting to me. Just pulling these gigantic names out like this, and like you said, I think Zachary Levi is going to absolutely flop to work with her. So I'm interested to see both Shazam and Black Adam and how they're going to connect. I'm really just assuming there's going to be end credits at the end of each to tie them together. So that's a lot of casting this week. A lot of casting.
Yeah, I'm interested to see more so okay, we are starting to connect dots with these characters. Of course, we always want more casting news. I want to see more updates, possibly throughout any of these. I know we're going to be getting the Flash because that one's going to be the closest in filming, I believe. And I mean, technically, both Flash and Black Adam are going to be filming on top of each other. But I really want to see an update on Shazam. The reason why is very curious if they will implement the kids in here. I'm assuming they would, but the one thing that everybody was complaining about, since we weren't getting any news about Shazam, was these kids grow fast, super fast, to the point where the kid who played Freddy, he was de-aged oh my gosh, Chris, no.
It's everywhere. It's infecting everywhere.
No, but the kid who played Freddy, he was de-aged in It Chapter 2. So, and we even saw him in Fandom, with his little prepubescent mustache that he had. We will see. I'm really excited about all of this. But I think for me, just because I love the relationship that I have with Zach with the show Chuck, I've always been interested to see how he moves up in the DC universe. So I'm really excited about it.
And I love Shazam, so like I said, same thing here. It was I was pleasantly surprised with how much I love that. I watched that movie several times in theaters, and I'm really excited to see how to connect. I think he'll get a big boost from just being in the same movie as The Rock, when they battle it out. Yeah. Hi, Katie. How you doing this evening?
Everybody's showing up. It's awesome.
Yeah. So we'll take our first ad break before we get into the next little bit of news. Listeners, these ads help keep the lights on, so they'll be short and sweet. We'll be back shortly, and if you're on YouTube, it'll be like we never left. And we're back. Okay, Clay, we got to get into some more Zack Snyder's Justice League news. There hasn't been a lot of talk from WB.
Of course not.
Warner Media. I remember, we knew immediately all the stuff about Wonder Woman 84. It feels like they're going to. I don't know how you can put out numbers for Godzilla vs. Kong on your streaming service and not drop anything for this. Maybe they'll try and combine them. But we've got a little bit of news. Joe Manganiello was on a podcast talking about the Batman story, and I don't know if you've listened. I'm pretty sure it was in chat. Batgirl joined in this crazy fight in the middle of Gotham, back and forth. He said Bruce is very scared because it's the one guy he can't beat, and he's getting better of him. I just love everything I've heard about this.
I heard they were explaining Deathstroke was gonna be almost like a Michael Myers horror villain, just popping out of nowhere. A lot of pop scares, genuinely almost horror film. which would have been terrifying just because the way they made Deathstroke's mask look in the DCEU, you're not looking into anything. You're just looking into a flat mask, which is terrifying. But the idea that Batgirl was going to show up lines up very well to the idea that Batgirl was going to have a movie recently.
Yes.
Well, even early on in the ideal, what was it, a film plan or whatever you lineup of DCEU films, which I believe, I can never remember her name, but the writer of the
Christina Hodson.
Yes, Christina Hodson, I believe, is either finished or still working on a Batgirl script because she was writing it as coinciding it with Birds of Prey.
Yeah, you're right about that. I think after she wrote the first draft of Birds of Prey, they scooped her up for Batgirl as well, or even maybe like the first time they looked at her notes. But yeah, she was big on that. I don't know. It all sounded awesome to me. I don't want to get my hopes up too much. It sounded like he was basically saying that like Deathstroke's going to systematically dismantle Bruce Wayne's life, like his finances, kill people close to him. Like I'm hoping Alfred doesn't die because I mean, like love Alfred, but although you could have those events play out, and where Justice League ties into this movie, you could always have. If the Flash goes back in time and changes things, those deaths don't happen because all that doesn't happen because Batman's not living because he makes the ultimate sacrifice, right? So you could have those people come back in the end, which would be a good way to do things. And it would be rather devastating if he kills Alfred. I wouldn't know what to do.
Well, if anybody is caught up in the comics right now, killing Alfred is very popular. I will say this. There's a lot of people who have their hopes up for the Batman film in HBO Max, or on HBO Max, should I say. Although I want to be super optimistic and I want to say, like, yes, make it happen. I think right now, Ben Affleck is super busy. And nobody can deny that. He has, I think, is still working on 3 separate movies as of right now.
I think you're right.
He just stopped by Zach's house to film, 2 or 3 scenes really quickly. And, they're just good friends. And that's why he was able to do that for Zack Snyder's Justice League. To do an entire movie or series for the Batman on HBO Max doesn't seem likely now. I'm not saying we should get rid of the idea at all, but push it more later rather than sooner. Unfortunately,
well, you could still do that, right? Because as long as Ben Affleck holds up a little bit, you can always have somebody else in the cowl doing the fighting and all that jazz.
Very true.
So that would be one way you could go with that.
Well, because I wasn't the original script saying that he was going to be fighting Deathstroke inside Arkham Asylum, and it was like
leaked out into Gotham City and went through the big final battles in the streets of Gotham City.
But for the majority of the movie, he would have been in Arkham Asylum, where he would have had to keep his mask on. So that would, give you an excuse to use a stunt double, body double, whatever throughout the movie.
Yeah, which that would be might make it a bit easier for Ben Affleck, but I don't know. Like you said, if he got too many projects and he doesn't want to come back. Or if he just wants to come back for a little bit for like the Justice League Part 2, 3, then if that's all I'm getting, that's fine. It's just nice. I feel bad mostly for Joe Manganiello. I think at the very least, I'd love to see like a $40-50 million Deathstroke movie, like he's been like angling. So I hope HBO Max steps up to the plate there. So on more Snyder Cut news, WB didn't want Flash going back in time or John Stewart Green Lantern at the ending. They really didn't want the WB really didn't want Flash going back in time. So I can't believe he still had some potential interference or people trying to interfere.
Yeah, which I think is really dumb because it's not like if Zach were to say, hey, I'm gonna have Ursa go back all the way to the beginning of BVS. Like, I can understand that. I can understand the hesitation of like, hey, you're messing with not just one movie, but now 2 movies. Let's slow your roll here. Urza literally, his Flash literally went into the past, like what, maybe 3 minutes to save his team. It's all within the same movie. It's like, what did you want to say? Hey, we're gonna, deal with time travel in his movie only. Well, I'm sorry, but he used time travel to get Superman back from the dead anyway. That was the whole point, is that he dealt with time, and that is what is supposed to be a foreshadowing for what happened at the end of the movie.
What really grinds my gears about this, Clay, is the Flash TV show must have shown him run back in time about at least 40 times in the 7 seasons. At least 40 times.
Oh, well, of course. What we had the very first time. The very first time was that like Groundhog's Day type episode.
Yeah.
Where he deals.
He kissed Iris, but he didn't actually kiss her after he ran back in time. Yeah. Weather Wizard number 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you even go so far as I would argue one of the bigger ones was at the Vandal Savage crossover when he just
gosh, when Oliver dies, that was intense. I remember watching that for the first time. I was like, holy cow. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and that's when we also find out about Oliver's son and all of that. So, that was a really big reveal there. But yeah, we as the fandom and even smaller general audience fandom with the CW, we know that Flash goes back in time.
Yeah.
So I don't know why this was such a like, hey, you cannot do that from Warner Media.
Especially when everyone knows that the Flash is like all about the multiverse and going back in time in his movie too. Yes, but like you said, he's going back 5 minutes and saving everybody's lives. Like it plays so well, and it's just so much better than like saving a family, like pushing a truck. Like it's
now. The Jon Stewart thing pisses me off.
Yeah.
The Jon Stewart thing pisses me off, not only because I want to see Jon Stewart or a Green Lantern in live action, but for the fact that the whole reasoning was to put a person of color on screen. That was as a hero on screen. And now, of course, we have Cyborg, yes. But the whole point was for that cliffhanger be like, boom, like we're not having Hal Jordan, we're not putting an alien, we're putting a black man as a Green Lantern, as one of the strongest people in the DC universe in front of Bruce Wayne. And they said no. That pisses me off. The reason why, and I know I'm getting on my soapbox here, but Jon Stewart doesn't wear a mask. He only has the suit. Instead, we got Martian Manhunter. And what do you have to do? You have to CGI the color green on his face.
Yeah.
So, yes, it is a person of color actor, but you don't get to see his own skin. Like,
and if you missed a quick reveal in the movie, then you don't even know that he is a person of color.
Yeah.
And I'm right there with you, Clay. Like that stuff. Like I wouldn't know what it's like to not see myself represented on screen. I've never had that issue. Like I feel for all the people that haven't. But fun fact for me, because comics wasn't my first avenue into this, Jon Stewart was my Green Lantern. I thought that he was the Green Lantern. I remember watching Justice League Unlimited and seeing Jon Stewart turn into Hal Jordan, and I was like, "What is
who in the hell is that?" Yeah,
and like he was my Green Lantern, so like I'm right there with you. And he like it does infuriate me because first off, there's like twofolds for this. We got here because of all this, of you interfering, of you saying, don't put this in, this not go. You don't understand. They don't want people in black suit. You don't understand what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah.
But not only that, Travis, the worst part about it on Warner Media's side is they said, no, you can't do that. And instead had to bring in Ben again because in the scene where he's out by his, like when he's outside and the Green Lantern shows up, there's all this green light hitting his face. Well, they couldn't change that in post, so they had to film the scene again, but this time with Martian Manhunter without all the green lights.
Yeah.
So it cost them more money in the end to not take the Green Lantern footage, which is annoying.
It's not even annoying, it's stupid. And the biggest thing that really pissed me off about all this, Clay, is they have not stopped preaching multiverse. Not stop preaching multiverse. And that's what's so frustrating to me, because what's the big deal?
Yeah, you said, well, you and Greg were talking about how the whole point was, hey, you can't use Jon Stewart because we have plans for Jon Stewart. And we all know the whole point of the Green Lantern Corps movie or whatever was supposed to be pitched as a buddy cop film with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Well, the multiverse means you can have multiple Green Lanterns, multiple Jon Stewarts. And this is just them it's triggering. It's triggering that they claim to know this thing that they are using as a zeitgeist for their entire universe, this entire multiverse for their IP, and they don't even know how it works.
It's baffling. Like, dude, like, should be more content coming out. Should be different heroes getting focused, but also the main ones. You have so many, like, it's set up so perfect where you can have so many things on HBO Max and so many things on like theatrical.
Yeah, which is why I said even on Super Civil Servants last week is that Jim Lee, like AT&T needs to say, hey, Jim Lee, you need to come up with a DC Film Studios and you'll be the head. And you need to control everything with the DC universe on screen, whether that be TV shows, movies, animation, whatever.
If you're not good with you're not good with every part of it, like Kevin Feige, more so with production value, like we'll bring in somebody to partner with you that'll handle that side of it, and we just your creative abilities and bring people together. Like it boggles my mind just that they have this glorious IP here that you can have so much content with, and because we're so frustrated, listeners, because we haven't seen much in terms of news about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Some of the things we have gotten. A couple of days ago, Crave TV released a statement saying that 1.1 million people watched Zack Snyder's Justice League on Crave TV, setting a new record for the streaming service, beating out Game of Thrones Season 8, which, wow, perhaps that's a Canadian streaming service. That's what I stream the movie on. I've had several people write me generality who would just ask the movie, so that was pretty cool. And a new thing that just dropped today from Apptopia, 64% increase for downloads of the HBO Max app the week after Snyder Cut dropped. So like after Snyder Cut dropped, a full week, and it had a 64% increase in downloads for the HBO Max app, and that's the highest increase it's ever had to date. So that's those numbers. With those numbers, Clay, I just don't understand. Hey, you haven't even come out and said it was successful. Like,
I've said this so many times. For AT&T, well, not even AT&T, because they don't even care. They just care about the money. But for Warner Media and WB, it's a pride thing. It's totally a pride thing. They don't care about the money. They don't care about making more money, apparently. They just care about, hey, as long as this person doesn't make any more films because they've been a thorn in my side, we'll be okay with that. And unfortunately, if I was in charge of HBO Max and my boss said, hey, make as much content as you can reasonably that will get people to the app, this proves it. This evidence proves that people are interested and they'll go to the app for it. If you have a solidified fandom that is going to say, hey, we will watch this content, and if that means you stretch it out for 5 years, if you go, hey, JL2 2023, then we'll do a Zack Snyder animated film. has nothing to do with his 5-story arc, but it'll be directed by Zack Snyder. It's animation, it's low money, and it has the same IP as those characters. Let's do it. And then again, you just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. You're going to have Zack Snyder fans, Zack Snyder Justice League fans stuck on your app, and it's going to be free money. And WB doesn't care. And it's really sad.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think Chris has a good point there about just let them know. Like I only tweet at Restore the Snyderverse just in positive. I don't go into other people. Like don't go into Godzilla versus Kang. Don't go into other things. Just trolling it. Just spamming the hashtag. You don't want people to think. Just show how much that. Like if you see a positive piece of news, quote tweet it. Put the hashtag there. You can tag Jason Kilar if you want. And just let them know that way, but don't go into other posts because that's all people talk about is like us crazy Snyder fans.
It's unfortunate. Like there can literally be millions of people doing the positive thing, but if one person does something that they see as negative, they're only going to focus on that one person. And although it's super annoying, that's just how things are. You never see you don't see many positive clickbaity titles. You always see the negative.
I want to say someone did it out for IMDb because it was a thing about angry Zack Snyder fans spamming IMDb reviews. There was 5 1-star reviews. It totaled like 0.5% of the reviews. And then all the headlines were angry Zack Snyder fans bombard IMDb with bad reviews for Godzilla vs. Kang, which 5 reviews. So that's the funny thing here. We just want to show that I want it all. Like I tweeted out earlier yesterday, I want this Suicide Squad movie we're going to talk about later, the Black Adam movie, the Flash movie. I want the TV shows. Don't want the DCCW TV shows right now. I'm going to take some time. It's a struggle to try to get through them. Like, okay, that is all for the Zack Snyder stuff. 8 minutes before we take our last ad break, before we go into Suicide Squad, I want to talk about something that I don't have on the show notes, Clay, but has dropped. Wallace Day is becoming Kate Kane on Batwoman.
Yes.
And can you give me a second here? Because while I love Wallace Day, loved her in Krypton, even okay with this, I don't understand the timing of this. This makes no sense to me. I want to take a minute to say how monumentally stupid I think it was. I'm mostly pissed for Javicia Leslie because I enjoyed some of her. I enjoyed some of her performance from what I've seen so far in the first couple episodes, and to see this, it's not that I didn't want her casted. I wanted her to become Kate Kane. Like I just wanted her to be cast as Kate Kane. Just wanted to recast it then, because all we've seen from the show over and over and over again is talking about Kate Kane, Kate Kane, Kate Kane, Kate Kane, Kate Kane, even though she's not there. So Ruby Rose hung over it. I understand putting somebody there, but you should have done that at the start. And I don't know what you're going to do with her. It's going to be a struggle for. I'm sure Wallace Day wants to wear a Batwoman costume at some point. Like I would imagine. Like I don't think you take on this role never thinking you won't wear the suit, do you?
Oh, I would assume so, because here's it's just as triggering for me as well. And the reason why it's triggering, the reason why it's so triggering is if you remember, I think maybe a week before Fandom hit, Wallace Day tweeted out, "Oh man, DC Fandom is going to be so awesome." They had this planned so long ago, and I just don't know why. It doesn't make any sense for you to be like, hey, Ruby Rose is out. Javicia Leslie, you're going to be a new character, Ryan Wilder. We're calling up Wallace Day. She's going to take over Ruby Rose's part, but she's not going to come out until later. But Ryan Wilder is the main character of the show now. Even after all of the backlash on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever you could see the news, you saw people pissed off about this move, making a new character for the show because the relationships and all that other stuff. Like you've already cleared that here on the podcast. And unfortunately, this now looks like, hey, we only did this so that way we can get a black lead on the show. That's what it looks like. Ryan has played the part very well. I watched her introduction to the show. They made it very well as a, hey, this is a new character in the Batwoman role, and that role played out very well. I will say that. I haven't been able to watch the rest of the show. I've been wanting to. Life has gotten in the way. I really want to watch the episode where Wallace Day shows up because I'm interested to see how it happens. But moving forward, most of those people that really wanted Ruby Rose or wanted Kate Kane now have a Kate Kane. Are they going to care about Ryan anymore?
That's the thing, and the whole Kyle thing. Chris is my spirit animal when it comes to DCCW right now. He knows how I'm feeling about it. It's tough. I used to love this. I really enjoyed her, Clay, like you. I really enjoyed her in the 3 episodes I watched. This is like a slap to the face to me. Like, this doesn't make any sense. I could be wrong. Like, I will say this right now. I will stand here. When I watch all the episodes. If I think they did this and it comes out and it makes sense, I will stand here and say I was wrong. Everything's going to work out fine. They had a master plan. But I know you said that about wanting just a person of color lead. What's really scary is, like, for me, because the first thing I thought of it too is they announced this. This was relatively close to the Black Lives Matter protests when they announced this. So honestly, that's what I thought when I was thinking about this. Are you capitalizing on that sort of thing? Now, the DCCW has a true track record of doing this anyway. Like, this has been done throughout. Of we put people of color, we put all representation in our shows. They have Greg Berlanti, that is a staple. I know they started with classic white guy of Stephen Amell, but even that, Diggle was my second favorite person on the show, and he became I love the progression that they do of playing that out.
Like Diggle became his own character. Yeah. He was the sidekick to Ollie for the first 2 seasons. After that, he really broke out as his own character. He did his own thing. He got his own story plots, which I really appreciated. Here, the rumor is, and we'll have to see how it plays out, the rumor was Wallace Day was going to be coming back as Kate Kane only to tell Luke Fox, her stepsister, and Ryan Wilder, hey, I'm going to go look for Bruce Wayne. And then she would disappear so that way Ryan can still be the main character. If that is the case, why even bring Wallace Day into the fold? Why even show her face on screen?
It blows my mind if that's the case. That's pure stupidity, and it wouldn't say much about Ruby Rose that you can't even do that. You can't come in and do that. They're letting you off the hook with everything.
Even that is the funny thing, because I think a week before the announcement or the reveal of Wallace Day becoming Kate Kane, there was an interview with Ruby Rose saying that she would be willing to come back. Yeah. If the circumstances were right. And I couldn't help but laugh, because that just means this whole thing is just it's not planned. Everything was just thrown out there just to see what sticks. And it's a horrible way to put it together. Yeah,
and like we were saying, just bring it back to Diggle for a second. You can believe that character has his own stories after a couple seasons of training and being with the main character, the hero. I believe that a lot more than when you try to put another character, like, for example, like Laurel Lance out on her own. Uh, I have a hard time believing 3 weeks of fight training and a couple weeks with Nissa Al Ghul makes you be able to do the same thing that these other heroes that have been like out there doing it and struggling but still getting job done. Like, that's the stuff that you don't earn me as a fan. It's disingenuous. Where when you build that character up, like Diggle, for example, he becomes one of my favorite characters in the universe because you spend the time with him, like the proper time. You take him seriously. Here, it looked like they were doing that with for Javika's Ryan Wilder character, and now I just don't know because it seems like it sucked any and all wind out of her sails and put it right in the camp of Wallace Day.
I'll give another example as kind of like the messiness of Javika being in Batwoman. You know, recently, Future State in DC Comics, they had a black Batman, that being Luke Fox's brother, who calls himself Jace. Everyone, and I mean everyone, was very upset about this because they're like, okay, who is this guy? We have no idea. His real name is Tim Fox. He calls himself Jace. We haven't really found out why, or at least I haven't read that part yet. The whole premise behind a lot of people was, we don't know anything about this character. Why should we accept him as Batman? He just shows up as Batman. We don't get any backstory or anything else. Then a digital first comic comes out later, earlier this month. Issues, I believe 1 through 3 are out, if not 4 are out, called The Next Batman Second Son. And it talks a little bit about his origin story and how he is, I guess, tailored for the role as Batman, as far as like his background, his combat abilities, and all of this. But still, you don't get that really connective tissue for why he should be Batman. A lot of people felt that with Ryan Wilder. She's just thrown in here into the Batwoman role, and we don't know anything about her. We can learn about her for sure. Same thing with Diggle. It's the idea, and even Brent says this on Fans. He said, I hate, or Brent and Ray have both said that they hate the idea of people having to earn their right to be a superhero and whatnot. These are stories. You can learn about their backgrounds and everything else. That can make sense. But like you said, if it's true that the CW said, hey, we can really get a lot of views if we make a black Batwoman, and just do it because of that, it's really messed up.
Yeah, like I don't want to make it known that that is not what
the truth
we're saying here.
It's
just saying that, like, the timing wise,
the dots are there, and it could possibly be something. We're not saying, hey, go yell at CW for this.
No,
we're just saying, hey, if it ends up coming out that is true, we wouldn't be super surprised.
Yeah, and just like I said, I'll stand back and say I was completely wrong if I watched the whole season and this plays out. And just one other thing, I'm caught up on The Flash. I couldn't be more disappointed. Couldn't be more. I don't want to spend this entire podcast crapping on things. I love enjoying things, and we're going to talk about the trailer next. That I really enjoyed the trailer. Can't wait for that. It's just when you watch something and you love something for so long, and just to see it go to absolute crap, it is kind of frustrating. I just want to point out just to one thing for listeners. Cisco started his journey 2 seasons ago of being fed up with his powers and not wanting them anymore, and wanting to get rid of them to have a normal life with his girlfriend. Which, you know what? I didn't like that idea. Didn't like that idea for the character. I'd rather the character like accept his powers. No, I'm going to spoil stuff for you, but I don't think this is going to hurt since you said you're like 2 years behind. So yeah, he ultimately finds a metahuman cure and takes it, loses his powers. Okay, Cisco's just going to be guide and chair. I'll live with that. Then crisis happens. Monitor, one time only, gives him his powers back, and instead of like taking that opportunity to like make that as it is, they don't. So he doesn't have any powers anymore. But now he's back again with metal gauntlets and stuff to give him all the powers of that he had with Vibe. Except he doesn't actually have meta-human powers. He literally referred to himself as Mecha Vibe last episode. That was the point where I was ready to jump off the banister here, onto the snow and just scream. Yeah, I don't. Honestly, like, although I didn't like the progression of not wanting his powers, I'd rather him like be true to himself, like love himself.
But why go all the way full circle? Full circle.
It's not the saying of this character has come full circle. It's more of a, you put me on a racetrack that was a complete loop, and I'm going around and around and around because that, like, in Clay, I didn't. That was a terrible decision to get rid of his powers because that was one of the coolest things. He had one of the cooler powers on the show, be able to vibe, like go to different breaches, go to different worlds. Like, it was such a cool power to have.
It was such a plot device to be like, hey, how do we get there faster than the Flash could get us there? Oh, let me just open a portal real quick. Boom, easy. And it was a cop out for a lot of things, but you just do it.
I loved it, and to see that, like, he gave that up to be with the girl, which, if that's the case, that's the case. And then he's back he's Mecha Vibe. So utter nonsense. The only rational explanation I've thought of after a day and a half of thinking about this and talking a little bit with Brett about it is there were talks of him potentially leaving the show a couple seasons ago. So maybe that was the way to write him out. But even then, if that was going to happen, you could have used the Monitor last season. You could have used the Monitor giving him powers. You just kept it that way. That's the way. That was the repercussion from Crisis. Instead, no. So yeah, this is the What Grinds Travis's Gears DCCW edition, because I've caught up on those, on Flash and that Ryan Wilder nonsense. Wallace Day nonsense essentially my eyes replacing Ryan Wilder I hate it. So I'm not happy with DCCW, and I was in complete love with it last year, like 1 year ago potentially.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's rough, man. I love everything else DC's doing, so it's just, I don't know. It could be just losing it with Arrow being gone. I haven't caught up on Superman and Lois, so I've watched a couple episodes of that and really loved it. So I'll catch up.
I'm 2 episodes behind, so I just need to
I'm 3 behind. So yeah, I will catch up on those, and I'm enjoying that. So that's my saving grace for DCCW, but it doesn't even feel like a DCCW show. So that might be reason why. So yeah, sorry for the grind my gears section of this podcast. Had to get that out, listeners. It was really bothering me. So we're going to take one more break, and we're going to get into the trailer before we get out of here. Okay, we're back. Listeners, Suicide Squad, James Gunn dropped the trailer, teased it the day before. We got some character posters. Clay, did you see any of these or all of these? I'm assuming you did. They were all shared in the chat.
Yeah, I saw a majority of them for sure.
James Gunn did a little tweet rollout for each one, which I thought was really cool. He also gave David Ayer credit for one of the castings. I can't remember which one. I want to say maybe it was Captain Boomerang, but it was nice to see that. I just love them showing love to each other, and I'm really excited for this movie. The posters look cool, but we're not here to talk about the posters, Clay. We're here to talk about the trailer. So, high level thoughts. What did you think about the trailer?
This trailer has been very divisive in the fandom. I've seen that very much so on Twitter, but I will say I'm excited to see this movie. The reason why is I'm excited to see something completely different from what we've been getting. After seeing this trailer, I do get a sense of like what people were saying before of like, hey, the creative ideas of directors count in DC films. And of course, everybody except for Zack Snyder, basically.
Yeah.
This kind of proves it. And I'm okay with this. I'm totally okay with this. I love the vibe. There's a really simple part in this trailer that I absolutely love. Doesn't make any sense of why anybody would love it, but it goes perfectly with the music when Michael Rooker is playing with that bouncy ball and he throws it against the wall and it goes along with the music and he catches it. Yeah. Amazing. That's probably one of my favorite parts of this trailer. Makes no sense to me. I mean, to the reason why anybody would love that part, but I'm an audio engineer major, so I just love things like that.
That's such a cool thing.
But this trailer did not need to be red band, and the fact that it is made it that much better. Seeing what was it? This was filmed before COVID, right? And there's a part that is basically a COVID joke that wasn't intentional, but just happened. There's a part where Harley Quinn tells the Thinker, like, if you cough without covering your mouth, you die. And they're like, oh, that's a little extreme, but that's not an open invitation to cough without covering your mouth, which I thought was hilarious. But no, the another red band trailer part was when King Shark just rips apart that soldier. Amazing. I just saw it right now. The flash of thunder with the rain and everything looks beautiful. But there's a huge part of this trailer, and emphasis on huge, that was a rumor, but nobody really was able to confirm it until now. Really big spoiler for the movie, I think, and some people have compared it to the moment of BVS where you see Doomsday. What do you feel about the reveal of possibly the main villain of this movie?
I love it, Clay, because the first thing I did when I saw this kaiju, obviously protagonist Starro, I just love the guy that plays the voices that doing the like, oh my god, it's a kaiju up in here. He's in New Girl as like the homeless guy, and he's just so funny.
He's actually the body double for King Shark.
Yeah, he's doing 2 roles in this movie. I loved it because the first thing I thought in my possibilities were how many and who of the villains, like of the Suicide Squad, is Starro going to control?
Or is Starro going to squash by stepping on him?
Oh, he's going to squash them, but I really think he's going to control 1 or 2.
Oh, I think so also. I had a discussion with my co-host for Batman News Weekly. Starro is very much a person who is known for his mind control. Do you think that James Gunn had any type of free range on anybody outside of the Suicide Squad?
I think so. If he had Starro in here, I think so. And he's also said that he's kind of like huge on the outsider run.
Yeah. But my question is, because we played a little bit of a what if here. None of these Suicide Squad members, other than Polka Dot Man, other than I think it's only Polka Dot Man, has powers. How in the world is the Suicide Squad gonna take down Starro?
I'm very interested to see that. I have no idea.
So, huge what if, but what if a member of the Justice League is attempting to take out Starro and Starro takes control of them?
That would be so cool, but that's definitely, I don't see that happening.
I don't see it happening either, but the idea of like, even this might be too big for the Suicide Squad.
That's a blow your socks off kind of thing. Yes. If we didn't hear it. And also, before we go on to, also we do want the Ayer cut to be released as well, obviously.
Yes.
But we are excited for this film, so. And this is a really good point by Chris, there was a lack of Boomerang, but it's also hard with so many. Like we saw Weasel licking the wall. We saw Pete Davidson's guy just taking toilet paper off his crotch.
Well, there's a moment where all of these members of the Suicide Squad are walking in front of this American flag. I think every single one of those members dies, including Boomerang.
He very well might. Like it could be his because he was already done and over with it. But like I said, too, this is a multiverse, so might not be the last time you see any of these characters. We got to talk about King Shark's design because people, if you haven't watched Harley Quinn, animated show, I think is getting a lot of his P's and Q's from that.
But his voice definitely isn't.
Oh no,
his voice is definitely more accurate to the comics.
Yeah,
very slow, very. Well, this is Sylvester Stallone, which I think is hilarious. The very first thing we hear King Shark say in this trailer, he raises his hand. He's like, "Hand." And I just like, oh my god, this guy's an idiot. It's gonna be hilarious.
And Viola Davis is like, as man of honor, she's just like, are you kidding me? Yeah, that's your hand.
Like, yes, that's your hand. Very good. But we see him eat somebody. We see him tear apart somebody. He does say nom nom. He is eating a human skull at one point. James Gunn did confirm that when we see Starro arise from what I believe might be an underground facility, and he comes up above ground. But it's going to be very interesting to see who dies, because the whole tagline for this film is "Don't get too attached."
Well, I think we can all agree that Harley Quinn isn't going to die, but there's a majority of them that there are really strong possibility.
I think, and you can call me out if it doesn't happen, but I think Harley has a possibility of dying, just to say, F it. And I will say, they have been very strategical about how they release this footage. There is a new TV spot, by the way. I haven't seen it yet. I just posted it in the chat. There's a new TV spot with some new footage, but the fandom footage, the behind the scenes footage, we don't know what is the beginning of the film and what is the ending of this film.
Yeah.
Because we can assume that there's going to be two teams.
There's two separate missions. We were told that.
Yeah. Yes. But those teams, those characters, are both in the island scene where it's nighttime and they're like blowing this whole freaking island away. We see Harley Quinn there. We see Boomerang there. We see Mongal there. We even see Peacemaker. Yeah. So we see a lot of these characters together in different parts of the movie, and then some of them are separated and in different roles throughout these newer trailers. So they've been very strategical to pretty much tell you, like, hey, we're going to put these out there so you have no idea who's going to die in the end.
I think it's no holds barred, but I do, like I said, I don't think Harley died. A couple things that I found interesting. Rick Flagg seems like he's mellowed quite a bit compared to what he was in the first movie.
Yes.
He seems a lot more like making jokes and being a bit more going with flow. So who knows how much time he's worked with Suicide Squad between the first movie and now. So glad Viola Davis is back as Amanda Waller. I don't know if this movie would have been what it is. I think that's like one of those perfect castings come to life. She nails the character, and I'm truly terrified of her. The other thing, I wonder how many scenes you think we're going to see of Weasel before he's dead, because there's no chance Gunn's not killing his brother.
No, I think no. See, I think Weasel lives, and I think Michael Rooker.
Oh, dies. Both of them. I think both of them dies.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're both done. I want to see the behind the scenes of Weasel licking the.
Well, you're right. I don't think that they could, because I think more people would be like, "Oh, Weasel is Rocket and King Shark is Groot." You can't have the same kind of relationship in both movies. They would then call James Gunn a one-track mind. So he might kill his brother, which would be hilarious.
Oh, that's such a. I gotta say, I really enjoyed this trailer. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. It comes out August 6th in theaters and HBO Max at the same time. One other point, I really enjoyed John Cena and the stuff that we got from him. I enjoyed his talking back and forth and his full commitment to character.
Yeah, we got the description, I believe, in the fandom footage that he was supposed to be douchey Captain America. And that's what we got in this one little clip of him like really explaining the whole like dicks on an island thing.
That joke doesn't do it for me, but just his commitment to the character, like I can believe his character saying it. I don't think it's funny. And it's the same thing with he speaks at the start too. So it's a couple times that I'm just fully in with the character. It's good back and forth.
For sure. I'm super excited about this, as I am any DC project, just because I'm a huge nerd for anything DC, which I will say this through and through means that I love the multiverse. Just
because we both want to see Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2 and Part 3 does not make me want to see this Suicide Squad movie any less. I'll be there night one, day one, whenever it comes out. They'll have my money because I'm a fan of these and this is a multiverse. But
exactly,
yeah, pretty cool little trailer, good little taste. A lot of James Gunn about it, and I'm really excited about that. No holds barred, James Gunn fun. But look for us to review that. That'll be the next movie that we do review on DC Alliance in August. Yay. But that's it for the news. That's it for everything. Before we close out, just want to give a special congratulations to Chris Belga over at World's Finest True Believers at reaching episode 50. Bravo for him.
And Jordan, impressive. I think that was really cool that he flipped the lid.
Wanted to get to that because, like, if Chris is ever, like, his next contract, if he ever gets to like prima donna and like asks for like the hills and all kinds of things, I really think we could phase him out and phase Jordan right on in there, because I was blown away at how perfect he pulled the Chris off. It was like a masterful touch. So I really enjoyed it. I just finished watching it. I had like 7 deliveries today. It was very unexpected. So I wasn't planning to listen to it all today, but I got through that and a couple other shows, and that was great. It was nice back and forth, and I loved the book, and I really enjoyed the animated New Frontier. That was one of the first animated movies I watched from DC.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Very, and it made me want to go back and read the comics. So, congrats, Chris. 50. We're sure we'll be doing this at every 50 for the next several years. So, yeah, congrats, Chris. Clay, before you tell everybody where they can find you, you got to talk about your cups, your page, and all that jazz, because it is fantastic. And it seems like every day I'm seeing people quote tweeting, sharing their pictures, telling you how awesome your hardware is there, dude.
Yeah, I'm very humbled at everybody tweeting out the cups. It was awesome. I think the week of the Zack Snyder's Justice League movie, I had my most sales in a week. I had a total of, I think, in 1 week, I think I had 49 sales in 1 week. Yeah, it was absolutely insane. Kept me on my toes. I will say I will not be restocking on some of the cups. I'm looking at it right now. I have 35 cups in stock right now. I'm wanting to take a little bit of a break. I want to see if those can go ahead and sell themselves out. Still great colors, very colorful cups that I have, and I have the vinyl to match it. So if anybody is still interested, go to Inahosa Vinyl Designs on Etsy, or you can find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. Look at the link tree on my page. It's the very first link. It's my Etsy shop. The listing is Zack Snyder's Justice League tumbler cups. This has been a very awesome venture. At the end of every week, I put 5% of the week's sales into AFSP. That was the main reason why I wanted to do this. I told my wife that I wouldn't do it unless I did that, which we have been true with, which has been awesome. That 1 week with 49 sales really did it for me. And I will say, looking at my shop right now, I have 99 sales. I'm almost at 100. I need one more sale to get me there.
That's so awesome.
So if anybody out there listening right now wants to make my 100th sale, I will tell you this. Whoever makes my 100th sale will get a free Restore the Snyderverse vinyl. I'll say that.
You heard it here first. You heard it here, folks.
Restore the Snyderverse is something that I did go ahead and I did give one vinyl away last week. I did send a picture out there when like all the chaos was happening after that article, and I wanted to chill some people out with that vinyl. I did give that one away, but I do plan on putting the Restore the Snyderverse vinyl on my Etsy shop. Just going to take a break for right now. Me and you are the students of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network, and we have a lot of stuff on our plate right now. So taking a little break. If sales come up, then I'll just do it. You know, that's my job now. But as of right now, taking it chill. But I'm really wanting to do the Restore the Snyderverse stuff. I'm trying to make up some designs for the Marvel side of things. You know,
you gotta get in there. Gotta get in there.
Both Brent and Snell have seen my design for what I was going to do for WandaVision. I don't think I liked it very much, so I held off. But we will see what happens in the future.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident whatever you venture into, you put solid work in. You're not there for the money grab, Clay. So that's the thing that shows through. And those cups are high quality. Everybody in the community is sharing them. And I have no doubt that when Justice Con #2 comes around, you probably are ready to go back in full swing by then. I can understand you wanting a break. From personal experience, my next month to 6 weeks is going to be chaos. So I assume that's probably the same for you. So even with that, thanks for joining me as well. Listeners, there'll be a link on the post for this podcast. There'll be another post with Clay's link for Clay's tree and all that. So come on. I hope somebody here is the number 100 for him. Really, that would be awesome. Clay, thank you again for joining me. This was so much fun, so much DC news, and only 8 minutes of Travis. Well, 10 minutes of Travis complaining about DCCW. Good trade-off, I think. I think we could live with that.
Yeah, for sure. It was a blast. I always love coming on to these other shows. If you need me, just let me know.
Oh, there's the bat signal will always be shining for you, my friend. Tell the listeners where they can find you before we get out of here.
Yeah, like I said, you can always find me on Twitter at FanboyClay. Of course, I also run the Ranger Alliance Twitter as well, which is also on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. You can also find me on my other shows, Batman News Weekly, Comic Book Legion podcast, as well as the Marvel Alliance. The Weird Science of Marvel podcast. Sorry. So yeah, I have 4 shows at the moment. Fanboy Comics podcast has been taking a hiatus since I am in class now, but it will be making its return. I have something planned. Maybe some random once in a blue moon reviews will show up there, but I do have something planned for pretty soon.
I think I may have heard something about that or seen something about that on the Twitter sphere. Perhaps. Maybe I'm thinking about something different. Who knows? I'll just leave it at that. We'll have some mystery there for that one. Clay, thank you for joining me. Listeners, as always, thank you for listening. Please like, rate, and review the podcast on your podcast app of choice under the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. Just search that. Find all the podcasts that are here for 7 days a week. We thank you for listening. We thank all the patrons for supporting the network and just even sharing, liking, being active in the chat. All that stuff is greatly appreciated. And we will see you guys next time.